Now, it's time to move on to our fireside chat or our discussion on fireside, we must say, creating client value in a mobile marketing era. Now, there is a great opportunity for clients to create value for their brands in the mobile marketing era. To chat over this, we have been joined by Mr. Sid Mantri, who is the Senior Vice President Product at MX Player and MX Takatak. Please welcome Mr. Sid Mantri. We have with us Mr. Subhashish Gupta, who is the Managing Director, Sales Brightco. Alongside, we have Mr. Balaji Venkataraman, who is the Director, Deloitte, and he will be moderating this session for all of us. So all of you are very warm welcome. And Mr. Venkataraman, can I please request you to proceed further?
Sure. Thanks, Namita. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Sid. Good afternoon, Subhashish. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
So, guys, excited to be part of MOBEXX 2021. And today we are here to discuss creating client value in mobile marketing era. So we have the best two in Sid and Subhashish who can really give their insight in terms of this particular topic. I'll directly get into it. Let me say, Sid, I'll start with you first.
Sure.
Recent data shows that average time spent on mobile is 4.6 hours a day, which has increased in the last 1 year from 3.6 to 4.6, and definitely is going to go up. Indians are really hooked to mobile, right from entertainment to education. I will start with your initial thoughts before I go to Subhashish.
Yeah, hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I think it doesn't come off as a surprise to me, to be honest, at the risk of sounding like Mr. Know-it-all. I think the penetration of mobile and data connectivity, after what Jio has done to the market, has disrupted the market in such a big way. The access to data has increased. Affordability of data and connectivity has become significantly better. Data is getting cheaper every year. And, traditionally, India has always been a single television household. And so that creates a situation where, on one hand, the Indian users are severely parched for high quality premium entertainment because they're forced to watch whatever is being watched by the person who wields the remote control. I mean, and it's been the same for years and years and years. I mean, I remember growing up in the 90s in India, and I used to have fights with my mom if there was a World Cup match, coming live, and she wanted to watch her soap operas. So that continues to be the case. But then what's happened now is that's created this high pent-up demand for high-quality premium entertainment on one side, and on the other side, the pervasiveness and affordability of data and connectivity has just given a vent to this incredibly high pent-up demand. And I've always maintained in India there is unlimited demand for high-quality entertainment, video over the top. It doesn't matter if we have 10 OTTs or 15 OTTs or 20 OTTs. If you have content that connects with the audience, you will find the viewers. And I think it's these two phenomena coming together. This high pent-up demand, which is suddenly getting serviced, and I think we're still scratching the surface. There's about, give or take, 500 million mobile internet connected users in India. And very few of them have the ability to pay for an OTT subscription, either from an affordance and liquidity and purchase power point of view, or from an access to digital payment instrument point of view. Kind of take your pick. Intersection of those two is probably like 50 million at best. So what are the rest of the 450 million users doing? They're going to YouTube for entertainment. It's a terrible source of entertainment. And I think that's where we found our niche at MX, where we've really found a connection and a content product market fit with those users. And then that's where we are experiencing our hypergrowth. So I'm not surprised that consumption of mobile has increased, and I think it's video led.
Oh, in fact, I can't agree with you more. I could see everywhere where I go in across the country, everyone glued to their screen in terms of entertainment. So entertainment, said you talked about entertainment. Now, Shubhashish, I will ask you on the same topic. It's one side on the entertainment, other side, you serve a lot of corporates through videos, as well as there is a lot of education, and in terms of commerce, a lot of things happening over video. Okay, India is one of the top 5 countries where there is the consumption of video is the highest, either it's entertainment or education. What do you see, and where this trend is taking?
Thanks, Balaji. Thanks, Adgali, to bring me as a panel discussion member here. I think there is a lot which is happening in the mobile market, and globally we are seeing that the kind of money is being spent on mobile advertisements is close to $230 billion, supposed to grow to close to $500 billion in the next 4 years. Now, that's a huge amount, right? And as Sid and you rightly mentioned, there is a huge prevalence of video. And with data becoming cheaper and cheaper within the country, and the penetration of bandwidth, or I would say 3G and 4G services in Class C, Class D cities, it's really opening up right the markets. So coming like what is beyond entertainment, I think there's a lot more. Entertainment becomes one of the primary platforms, and there is huge usage of like the mobile devices in the smaller cities also. What we are seeing is also a strong revolution, more so in the last 2 years of pandemic, where like my wife would have never shopped or done her grocery on probably one of these portals of Big Basket or anything 2 years back, right? She always used to prefer to go and press the bhendi from the tip and see which is stronger, which is a better lady's finger, right? But today, that entire thing, so it is gone beyond entertainment. It's like household usage. When we buy electric equipments, stuff like an electric oven, how to use. From there, it has gone to let's say today, with everyday new information coming on about COVID, right? COVID norms. So what kind of utility services can be used on this platform? So from a marketeer perspective, I think there is huge amount of like thinking which is happening. Video as a strategy is already there. Advertising on mobile is already happening. That is where probably platforms like us come in, where we offer the highest of scalability on streaming. We offer the right, I would say, assimilation and integration through our APIs on typically Android and iOS platforms, as well as web, right? So, which is where we see high growth in the edtech space also. Today, it wouldn't be wrong in saying that most of the people are getting onto a hybrid mode where e-learning is becoming a big market within the country. We have customers who have got probably paid subscribers in the regions of millions. No?
Oh, that's in fact, there are a lot of things that the video as a part in terms of mobile and mobile marketing has democratized. Okay? Sid on one hand said there is a pent-up demand and there is no dearth of demand in terms of quality entertainment in India. On the other side, there has always been a longing that everyone want to have the best education, and the best education is now served on your palm, on your mobile. Okay, so on both the sides, when there is a demand and everything is delivered through your videos, there is another trend which shows that a report. The most of this demand is not only on tier 1, it is in tier 2, 3, and 4 cities. Okay, it is when we have entertainment, education, everything done through this, how brands can capitalize in terms of reaching to the consumers in tier 2, 3, and 4 cities using mobile marketing and video as a medium in terms of taking them to them. The brands can take them to the consumers. What are your thoughts on this? Sid, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I agree with you that the growth in mobile penetration and mobile usage in India, I think is probably saturated or has reached what it could reach in the metros and the tier 1 cities. And the biggest headroom, which is starting to get filled, is coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, the smaller towns. And what's interesting over here is that the users in these parts of the country, they've basically skipped an entire generation of technology. These users, the first connected device these users have ever used is actually a mobile device. They skip the computer, they skip the desktop, they skip the laptop, they skipped connectivity through a
Blanket.
I remember the days when I used to pick up the phone and my sister used to be on the internet and I had to like yell at her and ask her to
Yeah,
disconnect
dial up.
and make a phone call. These users have completely bypassed that entire generation of technology. And so, their first experience with connectivity is directly through the mobile device. That's the only device they have. And that creates a very interesting dynamic, because that thing of that one entire generation of technology starts reflecting and manifesting in other dimensions. Most of the internet revolution, if I can call it that, in India has primarily been e-commerce driven, and that's a tier 1 cities or a metro phenomenon. I think logistically, infrastructure wise, last mile connectivity hasn't quite made it to the tier 3, tier 4 cities. And so the way these users behave, the services they consume are very different from what the traditional, metro and tier 1 users, the journey they have traversed. And so I think, reaching these users, there are very distinct differences in their preferences, in their patterns. They're probably not super e-commerce friendly or e-commerce savvy, because it's just not reached them. I think that's one part of the equation. I think a second part of the equation is because of what I said earlier, that there's this pent-up demand for premium entertainment. These users spend a lot of time watching video, whether it's on YouTube or MX or wherever else it might be. They're not necessarily digital payment literate yet, or don't have access to it. And so there's still a fair amount of distance away from being able to subscribe to any SWOT or any subscription service. So they're still away from, getting their hands on a Hotstar or a Netflix or whatever. Not to mention the content is not quite the right fit anyhow. And so I think the way to reach, these users is really through video as a primary mode of consumption pattern that they provide. And also, taking into consideration their lifestyle and their, habits of, what they're doing, which is very different from what we see in metros or tier 1 cities. I think that gap will get bridged very fast, but, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, thanks. And what in terms of brand opportunities, Shubhashish?
So I feel, I feel, one of the points which they brought out earlier during the conversation is YouTube, the usage, right? Meaning it's a great platform or it's a good platform, but then brands need to look at their own platforms. I don't have any doubts. If the brands need to look at their audiences, how do they get their audiences to get into e-commerce kind of transactions? Probably tier 1 is where e-commerce is happening, but it's not too far. So one of the very important points, and again related to mobile marketing, is how do brands start looking at beyond the social media's good feel? Every brand eventually wants to percolate and penetrate into a bigger masses, right? Depending on the brands, right? So your own platform becomes extremely important. That's where you should have your own apps. And probably the second point I would like to bring about here is how do you use regional OTT players or media players, and how do you get into using the regional content? Meaning the same advertisements could connect much better if you are using the regional language, right? And that is something which again is catching up. And I think platforms and brands like us, we've got a lot of AI built into our platform, which helps like brands to build such kind of platforms where the connect is much, much better. If we are looking at a Tamil Nadu or a Malayalam kind of a base of profiles of customers or target customers, right? Or anywhere. I'm sure that Hindi connects very well in the northern states, right? The same adds impact and the connect could be much better if the communication is happening in Hindi.
Okay, so you segue to the next question that I wanted to by your answer. Indians spend a lot of time on mobile, and Indians like video. There is a pent-up demand, tier 3, tier 4, and everyone is consuming videos. However, how the technology today in terms of helping us to take this, to satisfy the pent-up demand, to help Indians to consume what actually they are looking for? What is available today and what is the gap? And if we fill this, where can we go from here? So I'm sure no one wants to, initially when folks would have watched a lot of content on their player, they would have got adjusted to the buffering. Then they would have, once they started getting into the experience of, okay, there is zero buffer, they would have been fine. Then they would have started talking about bit rate. So how you constantly bring in technology to bridge this debt that is brought in terms of rendering those content?
That's
because that's important for the brand also when they target their ads.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and it's one that we spend a lot of time on and kind of invest a lot of our energies into. I'm going to try and split the answer to my question in 3 parts. And I always like to think about product development as optimizing and bringing together the B, the X, and the T, the business and the experience and the technology all put together. So I love the BXT framework. So I think number 1, I'll start with the business. I think it's because of technology that you mentioned this earlier, Balaji, that premium content has gotten democratized, and it's no longer the fiefdom of the users who have a credit card and can spend 2,000 rupees a year on Netflix. I think technology has created the democratization of access to premium quality entertainment. And what I mean by that is the feasibility of a business model run with AVOD, which we are an AVOD platform at MX, which is what gives us the ability to connect and get extremely high reach, more than 160 million monthly active streaming users. So we're able to get to that kind of scale in less than 3-4 years of being an OTT service. Is simply because we think of ourselves as a tech organization. We're not a media organization. We don't have any rich media legacy or history. We don't have the baggage either. And that technology has created the opportunity for us to be able to go and provide this entertainment to every single user who has a smartphone and connectivity in their hands. Doesn't matter, what their financial standing is, because it's free, it's ad supported, and that has been the secret sauce behind our scale is the fact that we think of ourselves as a tech company. We operate like a tech organization, which is in the media business, rather than the other way around. So that's the B, the business. I think from an experience standpoint, while one can celebrate the fact that India has this deep penetration of network and connectivity, and data has become affordable, or it's getting cheaper, I'm going to contradict that exact statement. I'm going to say actually data is still very expensive for a large part of India. And we have lots of users on our platform who actually ration how they consume their data. They actually have they're limited to a cap per day. So, they operate on 2 gigabytes a day or 1 gigabyte a day. And they actually have this mental mapping of, I'm going to spend so much on WhatsApp. I'm going to spend so much on YouTube. I'm going to spend so much on MX. And they keep checking where they are, and they keep trying to ration, to make sure that they don't run out by the end of the day. And that's where, again, technology has made a huge difference. We've invested a lot of our energy into the most advanced compression codecs. We're the only OTT in the world. We're very proud to say that's deployed H.266, which is arguably the most advanced compression in video codec standards. And it cuts down your data consumption by approximately half. And so if I had 1 gigabyte to spend on video streaming, now with H.266, I can effectively double the amount of content I watch in the same data cap. And then separately, there's the connectivity quality of service is not necessarily at the Western standards in India. And that actually is an opportunity for homebred OTT platforms like us, because the Netflixes and the Prime Videos of the world, they've never had to deal with a weak network connection. Like that doesn't happen very rare. It doesn't happen very often. It's very rare for the main markets they serve. And so we've put in again a lot of AI tech behind cutting down on the network bandwidth requirements. One of the reasons I like blurring my background image is because we kind of do that with our video streaming. We have AI tech where our artificial intelligence technology automatically detects the most important element in any video frame and focuses on that one, and then just drops the resolution on something that's not important. And with naked eye, you're never going to know. And then we call it a data saver mode. So if you use MX, you have an option to turn it off if you want to turn it off. So I think India is a very, very bandwidth sensitive market. We do have challenges on network latency. We have challenges on a highly unreliable network bandwidth that can go up and down. And adaptive bitrate streaming has been around for a long time. It's gotten commoditized, but there are pockets of efficiencies, such as I give one example where we drop the resolution on the unimportant parts of a video frame. I think these pockets of optimization really make a huge difference to the Indian customer. I think in terms of challenges and then opportunities, I think the network cost continues to be a challenge as it improves in bigger cities, maybe, but you get penetration in smaller towns, and then you have that continuous challenge. I think while we invest in codecs, there's hardware support for codecs that is required. That's going to take time. We're already seeing about 20% of our install base capable of decoding H.266. And so I think infrastructure is probably the biggest challenge, whether it's hardware or whether it's connectivity.
Interesting point. So, Shubhajish, do you want to fill up? Because what you see is totally different on the other side when it comes to.
Yeah, well, Sid covered a couple of very interesting points from a platform perspective, right? So I would like to pick it up from there. Today, there is content-aware encoding, which is happening, which helps to optimize the bandwidth, right? And we have the platform is already there. Brands need to look at how they create their own platform so that they can customize the entire. The entire logic from here on is not about doing generic marketing. How do brands use marketeers to build their own platforms? How do they do targeted marketing, right? Wherein there is a lot of relevance of AI and ML, meaning the kind of roadmaps we have, what we have brought in the last 1 year on the platform is humongous, right? Without naming certain things, the platform scalability, it scales to 15, 20 million simultaneous streams. So it's all there. Brands probably are looking at it. There is a nascent requirement or demand. And I'm referring the demand from not only a e-commerce or a retail point of view. E-learning has become a big platform. But if you look at BFSI, if you look at healthcare industry, everywhere there is a very, very strong use case. It's all about how the brands use. One of our customers, Dr. Reddy's, they do almost 250 events in a year, right? How do they create their own brand to use social media through the brand to pull traffic back onto their websites, on their mobile apps to get the right audiences, right? And of course, what they want is increase in their audiences and their product sales, right? So from that perspective, we see huge amount of relevance, a lot of use cases which are coming up in this space. Technology is there. There is how do you optimize bandwidth tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities? I think we've got multiple renditions which the customer can create on our platform to not have a lag, right? The video quality might deteriorate, but there is a continuity, right? Video, you don't want any buffers, right, or buffering. So those primary technology is there. One more important point which I would like to bring out is how do brands use analytics that we offer? We offer very, very deep dive analytics, and machine learning is also building on top of that. Your user profiles, what kind of videos are really working for the brand? What percentage of videos are working? What percentage of videos which have really become popular? How many minutes out of a 3 minutes video have they seen? So a lot of corrective actions marketeers can take for the brand. Now, strong analytics again becomes very, very key. And thirdly, of course, your content security, which is a subject matter which is more relevant to probably media industry and probably in the e-learning space, in the tech space, not maybe for marketeers, right? Here, lastly, I would like to bring in a point. We see for brands, for large business houses, if they have to build a Netflix kind of a like 24/7 kind of a experience, we offer something very unique called corporate TV, right? So that gives the brands, look at Tata's or Godrej's, they have everything from probably salt to like they're making aircrafts and all, right, or bits and pieces. So how do they? So which means they have got different products, different brands, their clienteles are different, audiences are different. It could be B2B, it could be B2C. How do you create a 24/7 channel experience, like a Netflix kind of an experience, right? We've got a off-the-shelf kind of a solution there.
Yeah. So we are nearing top of the hour, but I have a couple of interesting points to touch upon. One is on, Subhashish, you touched upon this analytics part of it. There is data.
Right.
I want a real 30 seconds view from you and Sid. When we get into T3-4 cities and towns, there is no much of literacy in terms of this privacy and the data behavior analytics, all this. So what is that particular point which really we need to address? Because we serve ads, we get data, we understand the behavior, there is an element of privacy. So I just want a quick 30 seconds before we wrap up on the privacy part.
So if I need to answer that quickly, I think the analytics part becomes crucial for brands and marketers more so in tier 3, tier 4 cities. Probably when I was reading a report, there are 300 million millennials in our country, and to a great extent, the 60% of the million or 70% belong to the tier 3, tier 4 cities, right? Analytics, I would say, brings in a lot of inputs, very relevant inputs to brands and marketeers, because that's more of an untapped market when we are using the power of internet. That's where the penetration is happening of internet today, right? So that could be a pretty much my input from a 30 seconds perspective.
Yeah, because always there is a saying that the more I give, the more I get myself known to the brand can give more to me. Okay. So
yeah.
Sid, what are your quick thoughts on this before we wrap up the session?
Yeah, I think because of the socio-economic dynamics in the country, I think the Indian market is going to be a lot more friendly to giving, so that they can get. Like I said earlier, India is probably the one market where the AWOD as a business model is very, very feasible. It's very hard to break even on advertising revenues alone anywhere else in the world. Certainly the Western market's very hard. And so the Indian customer tends to be very friendly to advertisers in general, especially the deeper you go or the lower you go in the socioeconomic strata, because their ability and willingness to directly pay is very limited. And so they love indirect payment and effectively monetizing time spent on a service. And so I think while the GDPRs of the world will keep happening in the Western part of the world in Europe, and we need to be responsible about how we use data and maintain our customers' privacy from a, are we doing the right thing, kind of lens. But I think the customers and the users in our country, and especially in the deeper tier 3, tier 4 markets, they're going to be significantly more open and friendly to giving so that they can benefit in return. I think, communicating that benefit and delivering that value is key to being able to get more information from them.
Indeed. Okay. In fact, great points, Subhashish and Sid, on privacy, because at the end of it, there is a trust equation that a consumer builds with the brand in terms of what he can share and what he can get out of the brand. Okay, that's the true value with which this particular opportunity brings in. Thank you so much. In fact, we're on top of that. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Namita. And Sid, Subhashish, great inputs and insights. Okay, have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I absolutely agree to what you all have said. Thank you, Balaji, for conducting the session so very well. Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Subhashish, for giving your precious time to us. That was really quick and useful session, people. Thank you, guys.